It's Brian Metzger. Welcome back to Chem Exam Prep, and this is Brian Metzger. We are in Module 2 where we are looking at the number 9 problem that was trapping students, the gotcha questions, and it's really similar to the isotope thing that we covered in the first module. You really have to understand the fundamentals to an atom. How many protons, how many neutrons, and how many electrons. In the case of the question that tricked students, they couldn't eliminate a false statement, or they couldn't identify the true statement. So in this case, we're going to find similar question styles so we can be prepared. Now the thing with multiple choice exams is that you basically are testing a broader source of knowledge, so that's why they can be more difficult than a written response. So let's take a look at this question. It's very similar. You're given a list of statements and you have to determine which of the statements is not true, which is another way of saying which of these statements is false, right? So let's take a look. We can start at the bottom and work our way up. E, isotopes of the element have identical atomic numbers. That's true because the atomic number is a definition of proton. But did you hear that they didn't say protons? They said atomic number. So here they're testing your dictionary, so to speak, your chemical dictionary. Do you understand what is atomic number? What is that associated with? If you don't understand atomic number, then you may not understand that question. And D covers it as well. Atomic number equals the number of protons. So now you have to understand, did the atomic number, is that associated with protons? And the answer is yes. So both D and E are correct. The elements have the same number of protons. What makes isotopes? Different number of neutrons. In D, atomic number is equal to the number of protons. And let's take a look at C. The mass number is the sum of number of protons and neutrons. And that is correct. We know that protons and neutrons have mass, and when you add those together, that's the mass number. And let's take a look at B. Electrons and protons have equal mass but opposite charge. Now, that's interesting, and I want to go back to that, but yes, that is the false statement, and you have to know why. Now, A, for any neutral element, the number of protons and electrons are equal. Yes, that is true. We know that the whole definition of a neutral element means that there's no charge. For there to be no charge, it means that there's the same number of protons and electrons. Okay, now let's go back to B. Electrons and protons have equal mass but opposite charge. Now, this might kid students because opposite charge, that is true. Electrons and protons do have opposite charge. Protons are positive, electrons are negative. But what's wrong about this statement is the electrons and protons do not have equal mass. So this is where they are testing your knowledge. Do you know that electrons really are very light? They do not have mass like protons. In fact, electrons are not even counted in the mass number. If we look at C, the mass number is the sum of protons and neutrons. There's no electrons added in the mass number because electrons basically have no mass. They have a little mass, but in relative to the protons and neutrons, they don't. So in this case, electrons and protons have equal mass. That is wrong. So B is your wrong answer. And you can do that same thing. I would recommend that you pause and you go through because this is testing your definition. This is a very similar question, but it's in fact it is. It might say charge equal in magnitude, but opposite in sign. Now this is you can see the language is a little different. So you have to go through here and figure it out. In this case, this is trickier. The wrong answer is C because protons and neutrons do not have identical mass. It's slightly off, but we always round up and say they're both 1. So that's a trickier question. You can take a look, again, another similar question. It's just a little different. In this case, isotopes of element have identical atomic numbers. In this case, I think for a neutral element, number of protons and electrons are equal. So you just have to go through here and figure it out. And here's one where you might see a little different, where it's giving you 3 statements, and then you have to go through here. Is 1 true, 2, 3, or is it a combination? So again, it's really going through the statements and testing your knowledge to say, yes, this is true, no, this is false, and then pick the right number. So those are the type of questions that can also test your knowledge of the atoms and protons and electrons. So there you go. You're now exposed to this whole true-false scenario, and you'll be prepared for the chemistry exams. So no calculation here. Thanks. Bye.